Stacy. I'm with Multnomah County Adult Protective Services. So I'm just here to talk a little bit about what we do and what we don't do and what happens if you make a report with us. So looking forward to chatting with anyone in the chat if you have any questions. So go ahead and get started since I know we're short on time here. So first off, what is Adult Protective Services? So the intent of our program is to provide protection and intervention for older adults and folks with physical disabilities who might not be able to protect themselves from harm and neglect. We have a set of guiding values nationally. Every adult has the right to be safe. Every duty taken by APS must balance the duty to protect the safety of the adult with their right to self-determination. The folks we serve are adults. They have the right to choose to accept or refuse any of our services. We don't have the ability to force anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. So that's a common misconception I feel that I see in the community. So who do we serve here? So Multnomah County, we serve any adult over the age of 60. If you're in a different county in Oregon, it's 65 plus. We just have a little bit more leeway in Multnomah County. Any adult who has a physical disability and any adult that's living in a licensed care facility. So assisted living, residential care, foster homes, things along those lines. We also have a couple other branches of APS in Multnomah County. We have behavioral health adult protective services, and then we also have developmental intellectual disability adult protective services. So real quickly, I just want to go over what the types of things we investigate include. So that would include any sort of physical abuse, verbal abuse, neglect, financial exploitation, sexual abuse, abandonment, wrongful use of a chemical or physical restraint, and involuntary seclusion as well. So that could include limiting someone's ability to move around their home, perhaps keeping them in one room. And it can also include preventing someone having contact with family and friends that they would reasonably do so. So trying to isolate a person could be considered an abusive situation. And also, we assist in situations of self-neglect, which is a common referral we get here. And so in order for us to become involved in a self-neglect scenario, the adult must have an inability to understand the consequences of their actions or inactions, and that's leading to harm or significant risk of harm. And so what we're talking about there is not someone making choices that we don't agree with. This is an adult who perhaps is experiencing some sort of cognitive decline or dementia-like symptoms, and so it's preventing them from maintaining their health and safety. So when calling to make a report for self-neglect for folks that you're concerned about, it's really helpful if you can let us know if you've noticed any sort of memory loss with the individual, unusual forgetfulness, difficulty with familiar tasks, confusion about timelines. Maybe they can remember something that happened 20 years ago very, very clearly, but they can't remember what they had for breakfast. Maybe they're struggling to remember familiar people. Maybe you've worked with that individual or volunteered with that individual for a very long time, and suddenly they don't know why you're there and who you are. Some of the risks that could rise to the level of self-neglect is someone refusing necessary medical care, mismanaging medications, significant change in appearance or hygiene. Maybe someone's falling victim to scams. That's a common thing that we see is when someone is experiencing cognitive decline, they start falling victim to those scams that are very complex and convoluted. Unsafe living conditions, maybe they're allowing unsafe people to live in their home, or maybe their conditions in the home have become unsafe. And maybe they're facing an eviction or utility shutoff because they're forgetting to pay their bills or unable to do so. So those are kind of some of the scenarios that could rise to the level of self-neglect. So again, it's not someone making a choice we don't like, it's someone that doesn't understand their choices. So how do you make a report to us? So here in Multnomah County, we're available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We do prioritize live calls, and we're available at that 503-988-4450 number. If you call after hours, we'll get back to you the next business day. So feel free to leave a voicemail. It is confidential, and we won't be disclosing that outside of our department. There's also the statewide 24-hour hotline, 1-855-503-SAFE or 7233. They're available 24 hours a day. Also, always like to remind folks too, if you feel like someone's in immediate danger, go ahead and call 911. Since we're not an emergency service, we want to get emergency services in place first and then follow up afterward to mitigate the situation. Also, when you make a report to Adult Protective Services, you will remain confidential. So we're not going to disclose to the person who's made the report who is concerned about them. So just keep that in mind. I know sometimes people get nervous about making reports because they don't want to damage relationships and so on and so forth. Also, you can make an anonymous report too. That's totally okay. Feel free to give us a call. Say you don't want to disclose who you are and just tell us what situation you're concerned about. So that's also an option as well. So what happens after you make a report? First off, you're going to speak with one of our screeners here, and who's going to try to determine, is this person eligible for our services, and does that situation rise to the level of abuse, neglect, or self-neglect per Oregon law? The screener will let you know if your report is assigned for investigation, meaning that we will be following up with the individual, or if it's closed at intake, meaning we won't be following up with that individual, but we will keep that information on hand in our statewide database. So if you get more information later, feel free to give us a call back. Sometimes it can be the smallest thing that changes our ability to become involved in a situation. But basically, if it gets assigned for investigation, we're going to make an unannounced face-to-face visit with the alleged victim within either the same day, the next business day, or within 5 business days, just depending on the level of risk that person is facing. But basically, what we're going to do is gather information to determine if this situation did occur or not. And most importantly, we're going to offer what we call protective services to the individual. So those are the different resources that we can offer to help reduce whatever risk of harm is happening. So sometimes it might be as simple as getting more family or community involvement. Maybe someone's niece or nephew didn't realize their aunt or uncle was really struggling to, maintain safe, healthy food in the house and keep their medications in track. So maybe they'll go by and check on them once a week just to make sure things are doing okay. We help connect people to different sorts of supports in the community as well, such as Meals on Wheels, store to door, you name it. If there's a group that's providing assistance to the community, we will try to work with them to get our folks whatever assistance that they need. We frequently help people get restraining orders if that's something that they want. So say they have someone living in their house that they don't want there anymore and that's abusing them, we can help them go through the whole court process to make sure that happens and that they understand what's going on, and we can make sure that gets served so then that individual would be safe from having that person live with them anymore. We help people get connected to different sorts of housing and utility funding if they're behind, so that way they can maintain their housing or keep their lights on, for instance. And if someone wants to, we can help people apply for Medicaid services. And if they are eligible for Medicaid services, they may be able to have some in-home supports paid for by the state in their home. So in-home caregivers that can come out and help them. Maybe this person wants to move to a facility and we can help them explore their options and see what their eligibility is as well. So you name it, if it's something that can help someone, we're going to try to put it in place and offer it to them so that they can be safe and remain at home in their community. So thanks for coming today. I really appreciate folks learning about Adult Protective Services and knowing that we're a resource. If you're concerned about someone, please give us a call. We're happy to chat about the situation. Also, if you work for an agency or really anywhere that, if you're a mandatory reporter or if you're interested in learning more in depth about Adult Protective Services, I'm available to give APS overviews and Q&A sessions. So feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm happy to set something up so that folks can learn more about what we do and what we don't do. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Stacy. That's yeah, y'all are doing great work. Seems like you have some praise in the chat, which is well deserved.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Irion. I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing that right. If not, please let me know.
No,
And
that's
from
great.
Resolutions Northwest.
Yes, thank you. So Arion from Resolutions Northwest, our intake coordinator Rose is here. And if I leave a couple minutes, she may jump on to add. Um, I don't know how to do this. Let's see. So I'll do it quick. We're a nonprofit mediation organization, and we also do facilitations. The reason we're on this call today is because we have a program for landlord-tenant mediation, and I think it's good that we transition after Stacy and APS because we have taken calls that may not be legal or related to housing or just complaints that we are able to assist the tenant in reaching their property manager or landlord and hopefully trying to find a resolution. The reason why equity informed is important to our mediators is because, as you see here, we're aware of the system and internal unjust dynamics. And that's important because when you're dealing with a property manager, they hold the power over this tenant. And sometimes they use it and abuse it in ways that the tenant may not understand or know how to work it. So we're there to help them balance that power to resolve some of these conflicts. We're funded by the Portland Housing Bureau, and we also apply for some grants to expand throughout the county. Our priority groups, meaning if we have a large caseload, we're definitely going to focus on low income, people of colors, elders, disabled, veterans, LGBTQ plus, single parents, people facing other hardships. The process for our program is case development, which is where you or the tenant, anyone reaches out and says, hey, here's our conflict. We'll have you fill out an intake form, which we're adding to the site, but I'll always send you the link. And that just gets the basic questions we need for these grants, such as demographic questions, the addresses we need, who's in the household, and so forth. Dates, if it's a situation where they got a 48-hour notice or they got court coming up soon. And we'll talk to the party. We'll see what their needs are, what they're trying to meet, what's the issue, and I'll show a slide that shows all the issues that we cover. In that call, it's not even if necessary no more. We do a lot of coaching the whole call. So we're trying to, do they need to de-escalate? Do they need more resources? Do they want to talk to the landlord but not sure how to present it without fear of retaliation, which is a lot of conflict that the tenants are having. And then if we are able to go to mediation, then we'll sit down virtually or we'll sit down in person and set aside 2 hours. And we do make sure that the landlords aren't using language or antagonizing a tenant because, right, at any moment they can just decide that they want to raise the rent too high or not work with the tenant to make sure they're not being evicted. So this whole program originally started to for prevention, eviction prevention, but we expanded it to where you might not just feel comfortable going to the office. Your apartment complex is unsafe. Neighbors are making a lot of noise and it's disturbing your sleep or work or so forth. Which leads me to the type of conflicts we get, which is all of it. You can call us for any reason, but sometimes it's, like I said, reasonable accommodation, ledgers, receiving a lot of notices, um, parking, uh, you know, I'm just trying to think. Every conflict you can think of, we've had, and we definitely will address them. And then we want to know their desired outcomes. Sometimes the tenants just want to switch units. Sometimes they want to switch apartment complex, and we'll work with them to do that. So maybe there's a what do you call it, lease break fee, and sometimes we work with property managers to not charge for that fee, or maybe the tenant is being forced out for whatever reason, and we've been able to have a conversation that gives the tenant an extra 2 weeks or extra month just so they don't first have that eviction and second that they have adequate time they feel to move to the next location or resolve this issue. Uh, the benefit for the program, it saves everyone time, saves you all time. So let's say you have a heavy caseload or you have a tenant that likes to email and text a lot, you can use us for that service too, obviously to help resolve the issue though. So if you have a tenant that's having difficulty with their property manager, you're having difficulty reaching that person, definitely reach out to us and say, hey, we need help reaching this property manager. This tenant is having conflict with the neighbor and they feel unsafe. The program is free uh, for everyone. There is no cost. As I just said, maintain housing. There's no impact on the tenant's rental or credit history. Avoid court or legal fees. So some of these cases, some of the tenants do not want to go to court. They don't want to involve any other legal services. and then we help you work that through, however they like to do it. And we help them improve their communication. So it's not just to resolve that issue, but how do you move forward with the same issue? Or if you go to a new complex and you come across the same property manager that you don't feel comfortable speaking with. We'll send whatever resources we know of, and we have higher rates of creative compromise. So when we help write an agreement, we use the language of all the people in that mediation. That's one, so they know what they're signing, and two, they feel better about what they're signing, right? So if I could just write, tenant John agrees to not disturb the office this week, they know what that means because they're the ones that said it. We didn't write that in their words, we didn't make it up. So they know when they revisit that agreement that, oh, yes, I agreed not to disturb the office every day or so forth. Um, and um, Rose, do you have anything to add?
I think you covered it really well, and I'm responding to some of the things in the chat for you
Okay.
with information such as our website, intake form, ways that you can refer people to us. Like Ariane said, I handle a lot of the intake coordination, and we largely like for people to come through our intake form online. It provides us with the demographics that we need for Portland Housing Bureau, and it shortens the all of that back and forth with the tenant or client at the outset. But people are also absolutely welcome to call Resolutions Northwest mainline, and we're able to coordinate all that information from there. I'll also put my direct line in there in some of these responses so that people can reach out directly to me, especially if you have someone who's not as comfortable using email or the web. I'm happy to go through that process with them over the phone. You have the most information about your party and your clients to be able to direct them to the appropriate way for us to interact with them.
And then a few things I forgot to mention. Each call and email is confidential, so what you share with us, we will not share with the other party. And unless we say, "Hey, I think this is something to share to help move this case along or help reach an agreement." It's voluntary, so the property manager or tenant does not have to participate, and we won't, we're not going to be subpoenaed for our notes. And when you call or if you reach out on behalf of your client, we'll ask you how much involvement do you want? Do you want to be informed all the way, or do you want to participate in the mediation? And vice versa. When we separate, or excuse me, when we speak to the client separate, we'll ask them how much involvement do you want your caseworker? Sometimes the caseworker is like, I want all involvement. Other times the tenant's like, no, there's more information. I'd rather just be between us two. And then you can also tell the clients to use a legal service if they get it. So we don't have to stop the process. We can continue. And the good thing, if they are seeking legal service, they can get more answers, and then they can speak for themselves at the mediation. Right now, they know their rights as a tenant or responsibilities. And if they don't want to have a representative, or they're looking to get some type of amount from the property manager, they can get it without sharing the cost or bearing the cost for an attorney. We will, Rose, it sounds like it's answering the questions. I may jump off for a bit, but we'll be back at 10:30 for more Q&A. I believe that's what time it was. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. Such amazing work. Okay, next, Olivia and Julie from Age Plus.
Thank you. Let's see if I can share my screen. Okay, are you guys seeing that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, excellent. Good morning, everybody. My name is Julia Brown. I'm a gerontologist and community outreach and engagement manager with Age Plus, and I'm here today with my colleague and fellow outreach and engagement manager, Olivia Robinson. And excuse me while I juggle things here. Let's see. All right. So who is Age Plus? We're a nonprofit working statewide with a lens to our aging population. We're organizers, educators, consultants, and bridge builders. Why are we here and why do we do what we do? So the pyramid on the left is Oregon in 1970 and what most people think of as the norm and really how our systems are set up and operate, with those born just after World War II weighting the bottom. However, as of 2024, people aged 65 and up accounted for about 20% of the total population of the state, which is slightly higher than the percentage of kids under 18. So we are already resembling a column rather than a pyramid. The column on the right is the projection for 2050, top heavy with folks 85 years old and older. And projected birth rates and advancement in medicines guarantee that this change is permanent. So the blue line is the percentage of people 65 and older, and the green line is the percentage of folks under 18 in each county. Just 8 of our counties have 65 plus populations below 20%. And yes, Multnomah and Washington are 2 of those 8 counties. But look at that blue line. Our aging population is reshaping every aspect of our communities, from workplaces to social structures. And this isn't a deficit. If we can change our mindsets around aging, we can unlock potential across generations to strengthen our communities through encouraging and accessing the talents of absolutely everyone. If we want Oregon to be a place where everyone can thrive as they age, how do we get there? The actions we take today will determine whether Oregon continues to be a place where people can age with purpose, dignity, and connection. And what is aging? It's happening to all of us right now in this moment. We're all aging. Getting old is the journey of our lives. So creating an age-inclusive Oregon isn't the work of one organization, one sector, or one policy. It requires all of us, government leaders, businesses, nonprofits, and community members, all working together with a shared vision, because aging isn't just about older adults, it's about all of us. Businesses that recognize the value of older workers will be better positioned to succeed in our multi-generational economy. Local governments that design age-friendly infrastructure, sidewalks, transportation, and housing create communities that support not just older adults, but also young families, workers, and caregivers. An accessible home means a grandmother can stay in her chosen community. A workplace that values experienced employees fosters mentorship that strengthens entire industries. Communities where people of all ages connect, support one another, and create solutions together will be stronger and more resilient. So ageism is the big systemic barrier that I'm talking about, and also an oversight. And it doesn't exist in isolation. It intersects with all the other forms of bias out there, such as racism, sexism, ableism, and LGBTQ plus discrimination, compounding barriers to opportunity and well-being. Older adults who are also part of historically marginalized communities often face greater economic insecurity, health disparities, and social exclusion. Addressing ageism through an intersectional lens ensures that solutions are equitable and inclusive, creating stronger communities where all people can thrive at every stage of life. This is a wordy slide, I apologize. But so that folks can take intentional action, we've launched the Leadership Exchange on Ageism, or LEA, to equip leaders and decision makers with actionable strategies to eliminate age bias. And we also We also provide shared outlook on aging, building age-positive organizations and communities, a 60 to 90-minute interactive presentation for organizations. By reshaping workplace policies, investment strategies, consumer markets, and community planning, we can create an environment where longer lives are seen as an asset, not an afterthought. And I just want to put a little plug in here. Please feel free to reach out to Olivia or I to discuss any of this and more. And I'm now going to pass the mic to Olivia to discuss a couple of our other programs.
Thank you, Julia. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about what else Age Plus is doing. Next slide, please. Digital equity. So one lesson that we took from the pandemic is that access to the digital world meant access to essential community resources, as well as connection to friends and family. Digital skills open doors to jobs, healthcare, and staying connected. And too many older adults, especially the ones living in rural communities, are left behind. We're changing that with a digital literacy pilot program that meets people where they are, providing hands-on training tailored to real life needs, like people wanting to know how to protect their personal information online, or just how to FaceTime with their grandkids. This is not a short-term fix because we're working with local partners, and we've developed a model that can be adapted and scaled in different communities. We are creating a sustainable approach to digital inclusion because we know that when technology is accessible to everyone, the entire community truly benefits. Next slide. Look at these beautiful, beautiful apartments. So we know that real change happens when these bold ideas are put into action. And Age Plus doesn't just advocate for better housing solutions, we build them. We focus our, oh, it looks like someone's saying, I don't see the slides. I don't know if I see them. Oh, I'll just keep going here. We focus our work where the need is greatest, ensuring older adults have stable, affordable homes. And we use a modular approach to accelerate construction time while maintaining quality, which brings these housing communities to our people faster. They're designed for longevity. Our homes are accessible, adaptable, and energy efficient, allowing people to age comfortably in their communities. And some of my favorite features on the apartment are the wide hallways, roll-in showers, and the community rooms that are designed to host events like family potlucks or movie nights or hold educational programming. So as we all know, housing is more than just a place to live. It's about connection and belonging. So by integrating these services with our technology and intergenerational opportunities, we create communities that support independence and well-being. And the impact is clear. This is in Madras. We also have housing in Talent in Southern Oregon. We found that older adults who once faced housing insecurity are now thriving in homes of their own. And this is just the beginning. We're proving that housing innovation isn't just possible, it's happening right now. And I'll tell you a little story on the next slide. A little bit of Marvin's story. Marvin is from Talent, Oregon. And his story brings to life the proof of how having a place to call home can really make all the difference. So before moving to Talent, Marvin lived in a shelter where strict rules around curfew limited his agency and freedom, making it difficult to feel like himself. So now he is in one of these beautiful apartments. He enjoys the comfort of sitting outside on the porch with his dog and has a stable address, allowing him to apply for jobs. He enjoys the accessibility of his apartment, easy to clean floors, function open kitchen, and has already started connecting with neighbors. And we've heard from other residents too, including those who've come from a range of challenging situations, some after health issues, others living on relatives' couches, or even lifelong housing instability. This is the real difference that secure, affordable housing makes in someone's life. Next slide. All right, Innovation drives progress in housing, workforce, and technology, but at its core, we know that real change happens through people. Policies and designs set the stage for big change, but it's in communities that bring it to life. Building the future requires partnerships across sectors, generations, and geographies. It takes community champions like you guys who step up, advocate, and create opportunities where others see obstacles. So no matter how advanced our solutions are, the most powerful resource will always be our people and our partners. Next slide. So here we are. We have a call to action. Thank you so much for having us, and we just want to leave you with a little thought. We would invite you to reflect on, digest, mull over. What do you think our greatest challenge is in creating an age-friendly Oregon for all? Not just for older adults, middle-aged people, younger people, teenagers, babies. And then share with one friend an action you can take to advance this idea and work to drive innovation and shift attitudes on aging in your community. Thank you, guys.
You guys so much. It looks like there are a few questions for y'all in the chat. Thank you. Next, we have Evan and Heron from Sunstone Way.
Hey, there we go. Hopefully folks can hear me. Heron couldn't be here today, which is sad because she is a much better public speaker than I am. So y'all are stuck. Y'all have done an amazing job, and I love how great y'all are at these presentations. I'm gonna lower the bar a little bit. I am with Sunstone Way. We're a shelter provider. And hold on. There we go. And so we began in 2020, where our focus isn't strictly on older adults. Our focus has always been on, we started out doing village sheltering and have expanded kind of over the past 3 years, 4 years into right now 7 different diverse shelters. We are housing first, but not housing only. And so it really is, we grew out of Do Good Multnomah, and Do Good was really good at focusing on kind of housing and resource navigation. And we took that and really kind of began to think about that in terms of who wasn't served by kind of the housing navigation that we had in the beginning. And so that housing navigation was really good at helping folks who were able to get jobs, who were able to kind of move, who were coming from periods of kind of maybe being houseless for less long and having more stability. And those folks were really well served in the shelter system. And the shelter system's also really good at kind of helping the most vulnerable. But it left kind of a wide array of folks who weren't served. And so in addition to taking the great skills that they had learned from Do Good, our agency really worked on trying to build more comprehensive supports. And so a lot of that was really trying to build into a more of a wraparound model, which included peer support and behavioral health in all of the shelters. We started out, we started out with kind of village and indoor shelters. We started during COVID, they had set up the C3PO shelters, which were the Old Town Village, the BIPOC Village, and the QA Village. BIPOC, of course, was there to serve people of color, and the QA was there to help folks who identified somewhere on the LGBTQ, QIA2 plus spectrum. And we kind of worked with the Joint Office to transition those shelters from COVID, where there was no plan for folks to be able to move on, into kind of a safe rest village shelter model. And so we still have the Weidler Village, which is the new name for the BIPOC village, and the NATO Village, which is the new name for the QA Village. Those are still there. They're growing strong. Over time, we added a congregate shelter, which is Market, and Clackamas Village, which is now open. And is starting to serve folks. It serves about 24 folks in Clackamas County. It's a beautiful shelter space. And these are all the village shelter model, where folks get their own kind of, and you can see the pods in the picture. They have their own space. It's far more private, and there is a chance for kind of building community in a way that's tougher in congregate shelters. And so the NATO Village, which is now expanding, and so is now it didn't quite meet the deadline of end of June. That's the QA shelter, but it's now able to serve 55 folks. And the Weidler Village shelter, which is the BIPOC shelter, Clackamas Village. And so then, in addition, we have the Market Street shelter, which is a congregate shelter. It's more kind of a traditional shelter space. It's what you think of and what you often see in movies, where it's kind of a big room with cots that are lined up. Unlike a lot of shelters set up this way, folks can be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And there are options for case management services. There are options for peer support services. This program has an on-site behavioral health lead who works with folks. And so in that way, and because the agency, I'm sure folks are watching the news and seeing that shelter programs are losing funding, that the push in the shelter community has been kind of away from the 24/7 models, more into overnight sheltering. I won't lie, our agency has been affected by that. And so we've had to kind of restructure around just kind of the reality of the funding needs. And so some programs, we really have been able to preserve that true kind of wraparound approach, where we have multiple folks from multiple disciplines who work together. And some of the smaller shelters, we've had to pivot and kind of spread that to where it's less support in-house, but more kind of broad reach support. And so there's been some restructuring just based on the reality. And yet there's always still very much a commitment in the agency to looking at that kind of middle spectrum that I talked about. So those folks who are needing more behavioral health or supports due to aging that aren't served well in the traditional kind of shelter world. And so we have social work staff who work with them, who work to connect to aging and disabilities, who work to connect sometimes simply. APS is here today. We love you guys. We really do, because a lot of times that becomes a way to really help connect folks to aging and disability, which is what they need. The bridge shelter is a wonderful shelter, and so what it was for folks who are in that most vulnerable category and are eligible for PSH. If they're still homeless, it's really hard to go to get them in a place where they can get their ID, where they can get all the paperwork they need, where they can get the applications, and even just for outreach workers to be able to find them. And so for folks who've come up on kind of, it's called the priority pool through coordinated access, they can go to the bridge shelter. They have a safe place to stay. They have case managers and resource navigators who can get them ready so that they can move into PSH. We just opened a couple months ago the Delta Park Motel, and so that serves kind of a really underserved neighborhood in North Portland. It is a hotel shelter, about 60-room motel, and so they're already full. It's such a great shelter. In addition, and I don't have a slide, we also have the housing retention team. And so the housing retention team can actually follow folks from after they've moved out of shelter for about a year to see that they're able to kind of maintain housing. Until very recently, that was my direct work, was working with the retention team. And so a lot of our work was working with individuals around the barriers that they were facing in housing, and a lot of it was working with landlords. We've been in operation for about 18 months. Not every person who's entered the retention program has been able to maintain housing for that full period, but I can say, even today, as I was in court yesterday, that not a single participant has actually been legally evicted. And that's because of the hard work of that team. Even yesterday, we had 2 folks who had gotten to the place of going to the eviction court trial. And on that day, we were able to work out agreements so that neither had an eviction on their record. I think I've talked a lot. I don't even know how long I've gone. But I think that's it. I think I've said enough. Y'all get the gist of it.
You did wonderful. Yeah, no lowering the bar at all. Thank you so much for your presentation and also, yeah, your really important work. Okay, Dryden from Community Warehouse. You ready to go?
Yep, let me just get my slides up here.
No problem. Oh, and Evan, looks like you have some questions in the chat too. So awesome, thanks.
All right, guys. Hi, I'm Dryden Driggers. I'm the outreach coordinator at Community Warehouse, and I've got my senior communications manager on here with us, Bill. He's going to be answering your questions while I talk here. So, I see a lot of familiar names and faces on here and already big supporters of Community Warehouse. So I'm excited to see you and to educate the rest of you who may not be familiar with us. Already done the introduction. So our mission at Community Warehouse is to provide donated furniture and household items to neighbors seeking the comfort and dignity of a furnished home without overcoming adversity. I think sometimes people think that we only help people transitioning immediately who are currently transitioning out of houselessness into permanent housing. That is only partially true. We also help people who are experiencing furniture poverty, perhaps due to not having the resources when they moved into that housing. We also help people who are coming out of like disaster or hazardous situations. So a furniture bank, sometimes people don't know what that means, and it's like a food bank, except that people bring us much larger items. So we're being brought mattresses, couches, pillows, sheets, towels, pots and pans, anything that someone might need to start a new home. That includes actually art, throw blankets, throw pillows, anything you can think of, like air conditionings, units, fans, heaters, anything you might need. So we were started back actually in the 90s as a solution seen by the Jewish Children and Family Services to help Russian families, Russian Jewish families coming from the breakup of the USSR to Portland. And that was so successful that in 2001 we were actually started as we got our 501c3 certification. So next year will be our 25th anniversary in the Portland area. And that we serve all populations now. So as you can see here, we work with 200 referring partner agencies. So people don't just come to our furniture banks themselves. They do come through agencies like yours. We help families and individuals coming out of any adverse situation. We are on average serving 70 families a week, but actually that number is higher now. We just opened a new location, so we're closer to 80, 85 now. And we serve clients through on-site and virtual appointments. So if you have clients who have mobility issues or have work conflicts, they can still participate and shop our furniture banks without having to travel to one of our locations. In 2024, we served 7,659 people. That was 76,830 items given to those individuals. We diverted 1,078 tons of items from the landfill from donations from the community. We served about 70 families a week. And the average donation spends only about 48 hours with us. So if a couch comes in, it is usually gone within 2 days. We've actually even experienced where things don't even stay with us for 2 minutes. Somebody pulls up with a truck to unload a couch. Someone who is shopping the furniture bank says, I love that couch. Can I have that one? And it immediately gets loaded into their truck and goes on with them right then. So we now have 3 locations, which is we're very excited about. We have our flagship Portland location that most of you probably know on MLK and Shaver. We have our Tigard location. We've been there just about a year now after we moved from Tualatin. And then in June, we opened our Gresham location, which is very exciting. We did a site map to see where our clients were coming from. About 40% of our clients were coming from East County. And we were hearing stories about people traveling not just from East County to Portland, but actually traveling to Tigard because that was where the appointments were available. Opening that Gresham location has brought our wait times down a lot. We were originally at 6 to 8 weeks wait time for appointments. We're now down to 2. So if you've been nervous about how long it's going to take your clients to get in, we can now serve them much faster. And how we do it is we accept donations of quality furniture items and housewares from donors, that's individuals like you and local businesses. People can drop off at our locations or they can schedule a pickup. And our staff and volunteers process our donations. We have a great team of volunteers who go through every fork, every plate, every sheet, every towel, and make sure that it's in good quality condition. We don't give anything to clients that isn't what we call a dignity condition. We would never give a chipped plate or a torn or stained piece of linen. We want people to feel valued in the items they're receiving. Here's some of the most requested items we get from families. Pots and pans, tables, lamps, sofas, queen size mattresses, although we do also accept full and twin. We do not accept king mattresses. They just don't often fit into the housing that our clients are moving into. Dressers, pillows. Pillows are a big one because often people's pillows are not without stains or issues, or they're kind of lumpy. We want to give good pillows. So we actually have some really great donors who go and buy new pillows for us with like their Kohl's Cash or on super sale at stores, which is always very exciting. But we will take used pillows if they are in good condition, and towels. A lot of you are already familiar with us, I'm sure, or your agencies are. But if you are not, like I said earlier, we work with 200 partner agencies, over 200. And if you are not already bringing clients to us and would like to, all you have to do is go through these steps. So the first is attending one of our case manager trainings. That can be found on our website in the link below there. You then will schedule an appointment. We have 3 different kinds of appointment offerings. So the first is an in-person appointment with transportation. That means that you guys either have a truck or car that you can load the furniture in, or you rent one from U-Haul or somewhere else. Those, we do have fees associated with our appointments. The in-person with transportation is $150. If you would like delivery, which is within 24 hours, often sooner than that, that is $400. That means you don't have to provide transportation. And a virtual appointment always comes with delivery, and that is also $400. That is paid by you, or your agency, not by the clients. We never ask our clients to pay for their furniture. If your agency is experiencing financial issues right now, we suggest looking possibly at our list of other partner agencies to see if there's one that your client is working with as well that maybe can help cover those fees. We know that things are tight right now, and we're experiencing that too, but we want to continue to serve you guys. Your then will be invoiced, and mostly the big piece here is communicating both with your clients, what to expect, how to get there, when to meet you, and also with us to confirm those appointments. There is a cancellation fee as well. I don't remember that off the top of my head, but maybe Phil can put that in the chat for us. And then when your clients come, they get an hour in the furniture bank to shop, and you will be guiding them. You need to be there with them, because often we find that our clients are feeling kind of overwhelmed, both by the generosity of the organization. They don't feel like they deserve it. They don't want to take too much. And maybe they don't have the list as clear in their head as maybe you do of what they need and what would help them. So you'll be there with them. We do have volunteers who help as well, and staff, but it is mostly on you to help them with that list of items that they might need. And those lists are, those amount of items are dependent on the size of the family. So obviously a size, if you have one person, they're going to need a little less than a family of 5 or 6, and we're going to accommodate the number of people in that family. Ways to help, other than bringing your clients to us, right here, signing up to be a case manager if appropriate. We are always looking for donations. That could be as small as spatulas or as big as mattresses. We are one of the only organizations in the area that takes mattresses. Our staff at all 3 locations are trained to inspect mattresses. At our Portland location, we also do mattress recycling with Bye Bye Mattress. So you can bring mattresses that you're kind of questionable into that location, and we'll take a peek. And if it's not appropriate, then we will recycle it there. At Tigard and Gresham, they do get turned away, unfortunately, because we don't currently have the space to save those mattresses. We're always looking for volunteers. People can host collection drives in their neighborhoods or in their offices. I'm always available to come speak with people. And then also, if you're not familiar, at our MLK location, we have a thrift store called the Estate Store that sells high-end and vintage furniture for really cheap prices, and all the funds from that go towards supporting our programming and keeping our lights on, paying our staff, that sort of thing. And if you would like to stay connected, you can sign up for our newsletter or follow us on socials. Or if you guys want to follow us on those social media channels, we'll follow you back. We like to share and cross promote. And again, if you want to learn more about us, you can go to our Community Warehouse website, or you can reach out to me at dryden@communitywarehouse.org. I talk really fast. I realize I probably was way under 10 minutes, but if people have questions, please let us know. But thank you so much for letting me speak today.
Yay, you guys. Love what you do. I was able to go and see the warehouse a few weeks ago, and it was really, really cool to see. Okay, last but certainly not least, Amber from Community for Positive Aging.
Hi
Are you ready to
everyone,
go?
thank you so
Awesome.
much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. My name's Amber Kern-Johnson. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the executive director of the Community for Positive Aging. It's been wonderful to listen to our community partners this morning. I think I can speak directly to each of the organizations that have spoken in ways that we have worked with them, and just incredibly grateful to be part of a strong network of support in Multnomah County. The Community for Positive Aging was founded as the Hollywood Senior Center. So many of you probably know us as the Hollywood Senior Center. During the pandemic, we changed our name from the Hollywood Senior Center to the Community for Positive Aging to just reflect a more inclusive, broader scope of services that we were providing. I'm just using I think you probably have like shortened, but you have all I'm going to go through the slides, but all the slides are available too. I think I'm just sharing, if hopefully you can see, but it's kind of a shortened, condensed. I think it's just the view is off. So let's see if I can change this. Sorry, here. There we go. Our mission is to create a healthier, more inclusive, and deeply connected Portland, where older adults 55 and older thrive. And they do that through innovative programming, compassionate support services, and person-centered care. Our vision is really to be an age-positive, age-inclusive future in which older adults are seen and celebrated, invited, included, and connected in community. When we thought about our name change, we went through so many different ideas, and we knew that community really needed to be part of the next chapter of our organization, because it's really at the heart of everything that we do. It's about building community. And we landed on this idea of aging positively as a way of looking at aging through a positive lens, similar to, Age Plus. It's been a great conversation starter about what it means to age in a positive way. As our friends at, Age Positive, at Age Plus. Sorry, I am just not somebody who uses this very often. So not as we talked about why this work matters, and Age Plus said, like, our community is aging, right? The needs are rising. There are more people who are older adults who are facing homelessness and food insecurity than ever before. And the need is rising while, many services are reducing in funding and their ability to support community members. While there's so many positive, wonderful things that come with aging, there's also the reality that aging brings higher risks of poverty, disability, and isolation. As you see here, number of older adults living below the poverty line, the number of older adults facing food insecurity, which will just continue to rise as cuts to SNAP benefits continue. The number of older adults who experience loneliness, which is a serious public health concern impacting physical, mental well-being. It's increases the risk of one's mortality, serious consequences of loneliness. And so our organization is really focused on providing programs and services, many in partnership with organizations like those on it's part of today's session, and offering these services, meeting people where they're at and making it really accessible. Many of our programs, happen at our main location, which is in Northeast 40th. In Portland, but our services reach throughout Multnomah County. We even have activities and workshops that take place in Clackamas and Washington. Our programs are designed for those 55 and older. Majority of the folks that work with us are, and we support our low income. Our community work includes food security, wellness programs, and there's no membership fee or income requirements for our programs. That's really important for us, and being able to provide a welcoming, inclusive space. There are times where there are programs that are specific to our partnership with Multnomah County, in which there is a geography specific. In those cases, we're able to then refer someone to the district center that's providing similar services in their area. There are a few programs at times that come up, like foot care, where we're not able to find volunteers to provide those services, and people do pay the RNs directly, but 99% of the work that we do is no cost, donation based. Who we serve in 2025 will provide critical support to more than 4,650 participants through our wraparound and services. That includes really light touch, maybe someone coming in to join an activity or access one of our 6 food pantries, or it might be more wraparound in around our case management or permanent supportive housing. Our work includes transportation, food, health navigation, healthy aging solutions, and wellness, and housing stability and community support. Right now in our senior center space, there is a really vibrant ukulele group that is playing, and there is a group of folks getting ready for meal service to start in the next hour. Today we'll have anywhere from 200 to 300 older adults coming through. After our lunch service is a food pantry, really providing, a space. Some people use our space daily, others might be weekly or even yearly. More than 90% of our clients, are low income, half are at the poverty line, and you can see the majority are living with chronic health disease, mobility, or cognitive impairments. These are the programs that we offer around community connection, lifelong learning, the health and wellness, volunteering. The majority of the volunteers that we are so grateful to have at the Community for Positive Aging are older adults, and we really pride ourselves in providing volunteer opportunities for individuals of all abilities. We see that volunteering is so deeply tied to aging positively and being able to give back. Our community services through our referral and information, case management and caregiving support, our food pantries, as we mentioned, some of them are closed. They're in specific buildings. And then we have our community-based open food pantry on Tuesdays that are open to all. And then we have our community health work around resource navigation, education and outreach, and housing stabilization. As we experienced heat emergencies in the last couple weeks, our organization activated as a cooling center during the day, as well as extended hours on some evenings. Leading up to the warmer weather, will often be distributing emergency preparedness equipment, fans, making sure that community members are educated. The reality, unfortunately, is that often in an emergency, those who are at the greatest risk are older adults and older adults who are living alone. And so our organization is really focused on connecting with people and continuing to connect with people through multiple channels. We put out a newsletter every other month. It's a 2-month newsletter. It goes to over 4,600 households. It's also available on our website. For many people, that is a really critical point of information where they access not only resources happening at the Community for Positive Aging, but in the greater, throughout the greater community. That print is still really essential. But we also do send out electronic communication as in addition to that. Really at the heart, it's about, aging with health, purpose, and belonging. As our community grows older, more diverse, and facing rising poverty and isolation, that need for connection and dignity and support has really never been greater. And so the Community for Positive Aging is really about providing resources and support, be it in our main building located on Northeast 40th, or out in the community through our partnerships and low-income housing, where we provide resident services, which is about referral and community and housing stabilization. You'll often find us too out in the community at various community resource fairs. We love to be able to connect with community members, and that includes all of you as well. Ways to join our work, of course, partnering. None of this work would be possible without being able to collaborate with those out in the community and those who have expertise. I think about the number of clients that we've had who we have partnered with to access community warehouse services, or working with Resolution Northwest. So really just knowing that there are these community resources, and often we're referring people to other community resources. That is part of our mission as well. Volunteering, we welcome volunteers of all levels and all amounts of time. Could be just coming to an event that we're having, or having a more long term placement. As you have clients, those who are on the call, and maybe thinking about ways to engage those clients in community, we can be a really great first step. And we'd love to be able to talk with you about that. Advocacy, really joining us in raising our voices to influence policies that protect and support older adults. And of course, donations, investing in the dignity and belonging of our community elders. And that can also be like medical equipment, incontinence supplies. We do run a medical equipment loan closet, so we are a resource as well. Thank you. This is our contact information. Again, I know my slides are kind of wonky, but they're going to be on the website, and you can see them in full view. Thank you again for this opportunity. Incredibly, grateful to have this opportunity to share just a little bit of the work and the impact we have on the community, and grateful to be part of such a strong network of nonprofits committed to supporting the well-being of older adults. Thank you.